So if you take a look at the seasonality trends, you can adjust your projection. You can adjust your projections. So maybe in the summer months, we drop our sales goal to 60K instead of 83K. And then we make up that difference in the busier months, right? So it doesn't have to be even Stevens across the board. We can fluctuate based on seasonality. Welcome to Prospecting on Purpose. Today, we're covering a hard skill and diving into a key element of sales, which is creating and maintaining a sales forecast. If you're the leader of a sales team or a sales vertical, if you're an individual contributor, or if you're an entrepreneur, it's really important to know your numbers. Even as an individual contributor, if you can look at your sales goal and the actions that you're taking as if you're running your own business unit, having any type of clear objective is going to help steer the ship in that direction. So overall, the foundation of having a sales forecast, or other terms you may hear would be a sales quota, sales budget, sales target. Having a sales forecast is really helping you understand what is the overall goal and why. Some of the motivators for sales forecasts could be, maybe you want to increase your sales overall, or expand into new markets, open new sales channels, maintain a certain profit margin, or just maintain steady growth year over year. To achieve these objectives, you need a roadmap, essentially a financial plan, and this is where creating a sales forecast comes into play. The first step is to gather historic data, if you have it. It's like looking in the rearview mirror to understand where you've been, and the more data that you have, the better. This historical data is going to serve as this nice baseline for our starting point. Data can be, which clients are giving you the highest sales volume, where are your sales actually coming from, which product sells the most, which product has the highest profit margin, or which sales channel has the highest profit margin. It may take you the same amount of effort in sales channel A that it does to sales channel B, but sales channel B has a higher profit margin. Maybe you focus your time there. Which sales verticals are the most active, and which ones make you the highest profit margin. All of these things we can start to peel out and put together. And you can't rely on the past alone, of course. You need to understand the present and anticipate the future. So that's why identifying which key sales drivers are really essential. So if you can look at this data and understand what's driving your sales, is it market trends? Are there certain government regulations or code requirements that are helping you with your messaging and driving that demand? Is it certain customer demographics? Is it a seasonality piece? Is it a certain marketing campaign or sales messages, economic conditions? Like looking at these different key variables is going to help you make more accurate projections. But getting into some more specifics here, I would recommend breaking down your sales into different categories or segments. So different examples here of how you could differentiate the sales data would be having multiple product lines. Do you have goals per product? Or do you have certain customers that give you revenue year over year? Can you focus on client types and sales coming from clients? You could also break it down into geographical regions, right? East, West, Central, however you want to break that down. Analyzing each segment separately is going to also provide you with a more detailed picture. With your historical data and some of the key drivers in hand, now we can create some assumptions. So these sales assumptions are educated guesses about how each segment will perform in the future. So thinking about growth rates or changes in market share or product availability, adjustments in pricing. Another data element could be clients that are not yet customers or are current customers that could be performing better. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And you can't do this all the time, but once, every few years, if you have a price increase, that's an automatic way to increase your sales numbers. So just a little sidebar piece there. But to bring it all together, you really need to build a sales forecast model. And I recommend at least 2 metrics. I'm going to give you 3 buckets here, 3 metrics here, but at least 2. And one of the most important ones, in my opinion, would be to organize your sales forecast by certain time periods. So just, for sake of simplicity, picture a spreadsheet where you organize your data by time. I do, annual goal and then I'll break down the annual goal into quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily goals if you need that level of granularity. So for the sake of simple math, let's just say we have an annual sales goal of $1 million. Our quarterly breakdown would be 250,000 in sales for that quarter. Our monthly breakdown is 83,000. Then the weekly goal is around 19,000, and the daily goal based on 260 work days, because we're just counting weekdays here, would be $3,800. So if you did a quick, easy breakdown, same goal every month, right? That's going to keep you on track. You're going to know, okay, I need to clear $3,800 a day to hit my overall goal. Or when the month is coming to a close and you're not at the 83 mark, what can you do to help make that sales goal that month, right? So you can obviously do a straight breakdown like that, but this is where really having that historical data is going to help you. If your business experiences seasonal fluctuations, then we can account for these patterns in our forecast. So in my experience in construction, summertime would be considerably slower. People just took a lot of vacations. Kids were out of school, right? Summertime was always slower. And then usually after, middle of December, things really slowed down. So I almost didn't count December as a month because it wouldn't help meet my overall goal if I treated December the same way I treated February, for example. So if you take a look at the seasonality trends, you can adjust your projection. You can adjust your projections. So maybe in the summer months, we drop our sales goal to 60K instead of 83K. And then we make up that difference in the busier months, right? So it doesn't have to be even Stevens across the board. We can fluctuate based on seasonality. The second metric that I would recommend, it would be organizing your forecast by sales channel or by your client type. So my sales channel, just to give you an example for my current business, one of my sales channels is consulting. Another one is speaking opportunities, sales workshops, and digital product. So I have goals for each of those, right? And I have to manage my time accordingly to support my clients, but balance the workload and the certain projects that I need to work on to hit that goal. Future sales channels for this business could be monetizing this podcast, or maybe, I would love to write a book with the same name. That's not a 2023 project right now, but it's something that is in the roadmap for the future. And then you can start to ecosystem these things together. So if I host a workshop or a speaking gig, I can put in my contract that they have to buy a certain number of books, right? These are different streams of revenue in my business. I know it's a little bit different if you're selling a product versus like a service, solopreneur business like mine. But in the past, when I had products that I would sell, I would usually break down my goals by my client, like who is giving me the revenue, where am I paying attention and managing my time, and then how are those clients performing year over year. So I'd break it down by client type. I would break it down by product line too, because certain products are more expensive than others. I would usually sell the more expensive product because it meant I had to find less opportunities and just sell more on the job, right? So if you start to break these down this way, it gets a little bit easier to meet that $1 million, hypothetical goal we're using for our example here. Another metric that you can use, it'd be, if I would manage multi-line reps as opposed to direct employees of the company. So you could break it down by your individual team's goal and how that generates the collective overall goal. You could break it down by region. So in my example, in my experience, I managed rep agencies, so individual companies that would represent my product, but I had sales goals attached to them. I would hold them accountable to the goals. And then obviously my job as the sales leader would be to enable them, give them the right tools and knowledge for them to hit their goals, right? So breaking it down by region, individual rep agencies, individual contributors, individual salespeople, product lines, sales channels, client types. Like there's a lot of ways that you can break it down. So just as I'm talking through this, think what works best for your particular business model, right? But all of those are really general elements of a sales forecast. And it's really important to remember that a sales forecast isn't just a set it and forget it type of task. It is a living, breathing document that you're looking at, almost every day in a lot of cases, depending on where you're at in your role. But if you review it and revise it regularly, ideally on a monthly or quarterly basis, incorporating actual performance data and making those adjustments as needed is going to be what actually helps you hit that goal. So focusing on the goal and having it be something that's visited often is going to help you with the actions you need to take to hit that goal. So certain things to look for, are your customer sales increasing year over year? Ideally, numbers should be going up every year. And if they're not, that's an area where you need to look at why it's not performing and course correct. Another thing to look at would be which customers should be performing more based on their potential and how can you collaborate with them to increase their sales. Something I always accounted for in my sales forecast, and I still do this in my business as well. I would usually have a line item for clients that I haven't met yet. I'm very much a hunter. I like to prospect for new business. And throughout a calendar year, there's a good chance that I'm going to find a new customer that isn't on this historical data yet because they're new, right? So I would actually budget a number, a line item sales forecast to find that untapped opportunity. And because I have a track record of doing it, my managers were always okay with it because I was always able to fill in that gap and meet my goals. So as you move forward, continually monitoring your actual sales performance against your forecast. And then when you start to spot these different variances, now we can really dig into the reason behind them and then course correct before it's the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year, and now you're not hitting your goal. And then, of course, unforeseen variables and circumstances can change things. So I was managing a hospitality sales vertical when the pandemic hit and construction halted because the client's business model was so significantly impacted by the travel restrictions. Supply chain issues can impact your sales too, right? If you can't ship product, you can't book a sale. You have to be able to adapt that in your forecast. And another thing to monitor is that usually sales forecasts, and especially in larger organizations, large and small organizations, they essentially will track other parts of the business, right? So how are we, how are we planning our production? How are we managing our inventory? How are we staffing projects? How are we doing cash flow projections, right? This is really important because sales is going to be what impacts the rest of the organization. So ensuring that decision makers are using these types of estimates to make informed choices. This is something that did really help me in managing my customer relationship management software because other parts of the business were making decisions based on the data that I put in. So making sure that that's up to date. That's another reason why, from a team perspective, it's nice to be up to date with your data. If you have not listened yet to episode 36 of this podcast, Sales Implementation and Sales Team Accountability with Doug Miller, Fractional Sales VP, go back and take a listen because he is a sales leader and a fractional VP of sales for small organizations and startup organizations. But we talk about the importance of holding teams accountable, but also why we need to use CRM type of software, right? So just a little plug there for that. But to close us out, achieving a sales forecast, this is really a big rock, right? This is a big year-long project that you're working on, and it happens year over year, and you're going to be focusing on it always. If you know those numbers and you have a well thought out plan, you're dedicated to meeting your goals, and you take that consistent effort, checking in on your progress, making adjustments as needed, and staying focused is going to help you get to that desired sales target. And then I always like to try to increase it 20% year over year. The 20 is my number for growth that I aim for. Not, you can't always hit it. Sometimes you overshoot, sometimes you don't. But I think tracking your sales and knowing your numbers is so important. If you are at an organization and you know your numbers, sometimes that's a really easy way to impress your boss or your boss's boss too, right? If you can say, hey, I'm up 10% this year, we closed this big project, da, 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 da. Knowing your numbers is going to differentiate you in your company if you're part of a larger team. And then as an entrepreneur, knowing the numbers and breaking it down in this way, honestly, in my opinion, makes the sales goal seem a lot less scary because you have a roadmap, you have a plan on how you're going to get those numbers. So data, math, ambition, taking action, that's going to help us hit our goals. So that wraps up this week's episode. Good luck with your forecasting. Thank you for tuning in to Prospecting on Purpose, and I'll see you next week.